Hello, hello, hello. I am super, super excited. And I say this every time, every time, every time I say this. And I really, really mean it because I'm interviewing individuals that have one, said yes, two, they know what they're talking about, three, they've been through it, and four, they could drop jewels in our crowns to help us navigate life better. My name is Tiara Jackson. I'm the visionary of Kingsskid, which has a mission to educate individuals on how God creates, covers, carries, and crowns us in personal, professional, and mentor-mentee development. Today, I have Candice with me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. So I want you to tell individuals about yourself and your organization and what led you on this journey. And then after that, I have my special question for you.
Okay. Well, I'm Candace Newman. I'm a Los Angeles native and mom, first and foremost. I'm also a concert tour executive. I've been booking concerts and tours for the last decade plus, for the last 11 and a half years specifically, for a little company named Live Nation Entertainment. And through my journey of booking concerts and tours, I learned that my role and my place there has been extremely marginalized because I'm one of the few, if not only Black women, booking concerts and tours across the industry. So because of that, not knowing that it was such a space that was lacking so much diversity, I was inspired to create my company, LiveOutLive. LiveOutLive basically creates opportunities and provides access to students of the business, students who are interested in getting into the live concert touring business. And those specific students are typically people who look like me, either women or people of color, and just basically giving them the access that they typically wouldn't get elsewhere, and just providing them with the tools to thrive in that space. So I'm very passionate about serving others, and that's just my way of doing it from my own space and background and expertise. So I'm elated to be able to serve in the live concert space and just serve my community. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, because when I met you, I told Ed, I was like, she's a beast. Like you told me about her, but you ain't say all this now. Like you skipped some parts. And just listening to your journey and listening to your story, like I didn't realize the transferable skills that you can take from school or from certain organizations that are applicable to that industry. Like I never thought of that place as a career opportunity. So to see you go through it, to hear your experiences, I'm thankful that one, you said yes. And I'm also thankful that you're so passionate to help others get to that place to where you were, even to get further. My first question for you, I ask all my guests this. Okay. What does living a crown life mean to you?
Oh, that is a really great question. I'm a woman who considers myself to be a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ, so I'm a disciple. And by the grace of God, I'm not perfect, but I'm just glad to be living this lifestyle. To live a crown life is to live a lifestyle that is God focused and God driven, that is motivated and inspired by the Word of God in the Bible, that incorporates faith, hope, and love, faith in God and belief in that word, hope that no matter what happens in our life, that He's going to continue to prosper us and move us forward. I truly believe in that. And then love, because God is love. Love prevails over everything. And I feel like if we are forgiving of ourselves and forgiving of others and being a light in a dark space, that's living a crown life. That's actually serving God in the way that we're meant to be here to serve. And living a crown life also allows us to truly walk in our purpose. It allows us to shine like the bright stars that we are. So I'm glad to be aligned with God. I'm glad to know Him. I'm glad to serve in the way that I serve, and just being that light. So I'm glad to live a crowned life.
Yeah, and like they say, you know, He is a light in the darkness, but He also gives us the will and the permission to do the same thing. we can do that in our own prospective areas. So with our topic today, which is corporate receipts,
Yeah.
you're good at this. You're not good, you're great at it. And I want you to define what are corporate receipts.
Okay, so corporate receipts, the word receipts, we all know that to be correlated with when you purchase something in the store, you get a receipt so that you have proof of purchase and you have the opportunity to return things and just checks and balances.
Checks and balances.
So that transfers over to, in the corporate space, it's a slang word for proof or evidence, right? That allows you to speak truth and power, to provide factual documentation to a situation, to help support claims. Basically that's what corporate receipts are.
So why do we need them? Like, why do we need to be keeping receipts in corporate environments? Because if we work for this organization, obviously there's some trust there, but why do we need these things, or why do we have to keep this documentation?
For me, I think personally, the ability to produce receipts allows me to have some form of control of the narrative, right? It allows me to save my job, save my reputation, but do it in a loving way. It allows me to just prove there's value to my word and to my work ethic and to my business ethic and to who I am. It's necessary because in the case that you need proof, they're there, but it's also disheartening that we have to have them, right? And I think that just simply as women in these corporate spaces who aren't always at the top of the food chain, and people of color who are in these spaces, it's important to start just kind of maintaining those receipts early on and making sure that hopefully you don't need them, but making sure that if you do need them, you utilize them in a strategic way that's results driven so that you can maintain your position or your role, your reputation, and your livelihood, not so that you can cause harm or hurt to someone else, right? So they're more in your benefit to be results driven.
Okay, so if I'm not keeping corporate receipts, like if I'm not keeping documentations, keeping emails,
screenshots, images, videos, they come in many forms.
Okay, and that was actually one of my questions. So they come in many, so it's screenshots, videos, images, emails, text. Okay. Okay. So save all that stuff. So would you advise to save it on a work email, or you have a private email that you need to save all your corporate receipts on?
I think things that are like completely relevant to specific matters, I think that it's important to keep that in a personal space, in a personal place. Again, I'm always hoping that it's not necessary to use my corporate receipts. I know that it's not necessary to use every single receipt that I have, right? But every once in a while, there may be a use for me to forward an email and say, per my email below, just to remind you that I said this, or blind copy myself, just to ensure that you got that email because I know I received it. It could be as simple as that, or it could be just filing away an important email that carries a lot of weight, and that could come up in the future. So it varies, but I think it's important to download files, keep the documentations in a safe place, like a non-working space or place, whether it's on a hard drive, external drive, a personal email, personal computer, things like that. Again, I wouldn't say to do any of these things in a deceptive, manipulated way, but only in a strategic, smart way, in a way that's going to be results driven, where you can help bring light to a situation or a matter.
So in regards to not keeping corporate receipts, because let's just be honest, this is not anything we learn in corporate America. I mean, in school. We
Right.
were, now we did learn the term CYA, but nobody said exactly what CYA looks like. They told us what it means, but it didn't say exactly what it looks like, which is why I'm glad we was having this conversation. So for the young professional that looks like me, that don't know what to do, like they're having problems with their manager and they know they're performing at a good rate, like the clients are saying they're doing a good job, and they have these emails where the clients is saying they're doing a good job. When it comes to performance time, that's the time for you to say, well, per the client, these are the results. Per the numbers, these are the results. You're not saving corporate receipts, like you said, to bring anyone down. It's for you. It's results driven. It's for you to save your job, potentially. It's for you to save your reputation. Correct. So what happens when, I want you to talk about the ramifications of not documenting or having corporate receipts, potentially at interview time. I mean, at performance review time, or when it's time for you and a colleague to go up for a promotion, but you don't have your receipts. What can happen?
So I just want to just be clear that in the event of saving my receipts, my work ethic has to bottom line be excellent before I can even speak my mind up or pull receipts and try to prove anything. I have to make sure that my performance is top tier, that my work ethic is there, that I'm striving and thriving at the most excellent space that I can in that workplace, right? So before I can even speak up and say something or try to pull in the receipts to prove anything, I need to make sure that those boxes are being checked, right? And then since I know that I'm operating from that space of excellence, of the best of my abilities, and giving you all that I have, and you still come for me, then that's when it's necessary to pull out the relevant receipts, right? And I like how you mentioned CYA, because that's basically what it ultimately boils down to, is covering your you know what. And I think that that's absolutely important, because a lot of times not everyone has good intentions when it comes to us personally. So you have to have the good intentions when it comes to yourself. Not everyone, you're not going to get along with everyone in the workplace, which is totally normal and fine. Like, people need to accept that, right? That personalities clash sometimes, passions clash sometimes. Projects can bring out the best and the worst in people sometimes. And you just never know what you're going to get. But again, striving at your most excellent space and place, and providing those receipts in order to save your reputation, save your job, bring light to some facts that have occurred, or a situation that's necessary for moving forward. So yes, I think it's important that you have a baseline of good work, good performance before you can even pull out the receipts. And then when you do pull out receipts, make sure that you're being results driven, you're being smart about what you're trying to accomplish in the situation.
The end goal. Don't just be out here throwing receipts.
Don't be nasty. Don't have a bad attitude about it. Don't do it like, aha, gotcha, in that type of way, because that's immature. You know, we want to operate from a high level, a higher standard as people, as crowned people who are living a crowned lifestyle and being light in those dark spaces. I work in the entertainment space. I think we all know that it has a reputation of being a dark space, having a lot of people who are egomaniacs, prideful, and just really not the best character exhibited in a lot of those spaces. So I have to be that. So I can't operate from that type of place as well. So my receipts are always to help bring light to a situation. And I found that a lot of times I've prevailed in bringing light to that situation. I've gotten promotions. I've gotten all kinds of different things through providing my documentation and my proof.
And that's because it goes back to what you said, though. You was operating in a spirit of excellence. Yep. You were performing well. You were being results driven. And because you did those things, on top of having the receipts, it wasn't up for discussion. It was literally you providing the receipts. Right. And as a result of you providing those receipts, you got your promotions and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I know it seems as easy as just be that and provide the receipts, there has to be a level of confidence that I didn't always have. There has to be a level of advocacy for myself in that space that I wasn't always comfortable with displaying or exhibiting. But I am now because I know my worth and I know my value, and having my receipts add to that value. So I think that's important.
So you say you wasn't always like that. So how many years or how long did it take for you to realize that I need to advocate for myself and I have to have confidence in the value that I'm adding?
It took quite some time. I still struggle with like imposter syndrome sometimes. Like, was I meant to be there? Because a lot of companies make you feel like, corporations make you feel like you're lucky to be there. Count your blessings because someone else could want this position and opportunity. But I earned it. And I started to learn that I earned it. And then when I created my company, I really came into myself and started to see that I can create something that comes to mind and bring it to fruition and it be excellent and great and represent who I am. And people are gonna, you know, gravitate to it because of that. And I just think it's important that we do what we're supposed to do for ourselves. And that doesn't, like I said, always come easy. It doesn't always come overnight, but gradually, once that clicks, you have to go for it. And I think another thing that allows that to click for me because of my relationship with God, because I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know who I belong to. I know that I am the daughter of a king, and I feel that I am also a young queen. So in that, a lot of people don't know their worth when it comes to that, especially in the workspace, in the workplace. So I'm bringing that with me there, you know? So that's how I eventually started to gain the confidence to advocate for myself when I had all of those extra tools that allowed me to move forward in that.
It's so important to understand who you are and whose you are, because certain organizations can make you feel like they own you and you're nothing without them, when in actuality you're a lot without them. But you have to believe that for yourself. Like, you have to believe that and stand in that and own that power. And it goes back to even realizing the importance of corporate receipts. You have to understand the power that they have, the good they can do, but also understand the ramifications of what not having corporate receipts can do for your career and the organization as a total. And I wish I would have known that, because even as you're talking, I'm looking back at the times where I didn't have corporate receipts and it was just my word against their word. And by the time I even get to the table with them, the decision is already made, and I'm sitting there looking crazy.
Absolutely. Because a lot of times we're just so trusting. We go in there and we think that they're going to see us, see all of our glory, and see how great we are, and see how hard we work. We think they're going to see us. But a lot of times just biases and experiences don't allow them to see us, right? And when they do consider opportunities and promotions, they're going to look at someone that looks like themselves, because that's who they want to uplift. And I don't look like them. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole because I'm not white, I'm not male, I'm not over 50. So they're not going to look at me like someone they want to inspire to rise above or elevate to the next level. So I have to be able to see that in myself and advocate for on behalf of myself in that way. And like I said, it has worked for me because of my documentation and my corporate receipts. I've gotten promoted. I've just grew my confidence, and I've become the executive and entrepreneur that I am today because I was smart enough to keep those receipts that I had been maintaining since I started in corporate America.
You said in your intro, you said you've been in corporate for 10 plus years. So
I've been at this company for 10 plus years. I was in corporate America maybe 5 years prior to that, when I first kind of got out of college and started my career. So I started keeping my receipts then. I just didn't need to use them. But in this decade, I find myself having to use them, which is why I'm so firm on maintaining them.
Wow. Okay. So this was your second organization. So you've been working, like you said, 11 plus years. You've been working overall, and as soon as you stepped out of college, you started keeping receipts. Like you didn't just start yesterday. It wasn't okay. So I'm a little behind the 8 ball. I need to
I didn't just start last week. No, my corporate receipts are years old.
Right. Okay. And that's important to note that they need to be in a safe place, a secure place, but in places that are even time stamped. So
yes, and I think that the importance of the year's worth of receipts have shown patterns of situations, right? So if I have receipts that are similar to, if I have receipts in 2020 that are similar to 2015 receipts, that means that there's a pattern of that behavior or lack of something there. And so that basically allows my receipts to have more weight.
Wow. And I don't think we realize that. I think we just go in blindly and either, like me, I didn't have it when I had my first performance review. I didn't have no receipts. So like I said, by the time I got to the table, the decision was already made. And then at my last organization, I did start to keep them, which helped, because I'll be like, you know, well, according to this email, you said this. And it's like, oh,
you realize it. Like,
yeah,
start doing this.
Yeah, so everybody had a folder. I had it set up where everybody had a folder, but I did understand, even in talking to you, I'm realizing the weight and the power that they hold. And I think this is important for us to talk about as professionals, to know, don't go in blindly, go in with strategy, go in being results driven, and go in, you know, really willing to serve and do your best, you know, and not to be, don't be half in it because you got receipts on somebody, still serve. So this you said one thing in your intro about you being a light in a dark place and working in the entertainment space. That could, you just don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So the one question I do want to ask you is, the entertainment space, we know you just don't know, but it's a lot of other industries like that. Each industry has something going on. How did you maintain your level of your commitment to God? How did you maintain your commitment to yourself? You mentioned that you're a mom. Like, how did you maintain those relationships and even yourself without compromising yourself? There could be someone that's going to watch this that's in a compromising situation where they're in this big industry and they feel like they have to go with the crowd instead of going with Christ. So how did you do that?
I'm not much of a go with the crowd type of person, but I do know how you can conform to situations because you want to fit in or you want to thrive in certain spaces and you see other people going one way. I think for me personally, I need to personally stay close to God. I need to stay close to the word of God. I need to be in the church. That's why this pandemic has just been really tough for me, because I don't get the whole fellowship and the connection that I normally get from my small groups and from the people in my church, and, you know, and the people who actually support and encourage me on a regular basis other than over the phone. It's just been really tough. But I personally have been spending a lot of quiet time with God. I'm into my word every day. I am, you know, reading the word, I'm meditating on the word. And I think it's important for me to stay close to that. Me personally, I need that in order for me to maintain that crown lifestyle or to maintain that relationship with God, maintain that light, because I do know how the world can take you under, even when you are close to God. Right. So for me personally, I need to continue every single day, meditate on the word and spend quiet time and time with God every day.
So how do you maintain keeping the word and motherhood? What does that look like? Because some people may just feel like, well, you know, I have a kid, but I don't have time. And that's a big thing where people may say, I don't have time, but how do you make time to still do the word and still show up for yourself and still show up for your son?
Well, doing the word is showing up for myself and showing up for my son and showing up for God. Like, being in the word shows up for all of us. And when my son sees me praying, when I encourage him to pray, like I make sure that he prays if he's there. Like, for example, he was looking at something. He was like, I typed in the word scary and I can't get these thoughts out of my mind. Can we pray before we go to sleep? So he will offer that because he sees how important prayer is to me. He sees how important God is to me. And I'm trying to keep him aligned in that. We would go to church together. He sees me spending quiet time with God. He sees me reading my Bible, and he will come and chime in or or interact and involve himself in the process. And I love that. He may not understand the lesson on the levels that we understand the lessons, but if I'm talking to him about it, eventually he will get it. He knows God. And I feel like just being that example will lead him in the right direction, right? It will allow him to see this is the right way to go. And being close to God is the way that I want to be. So that's how I do it. Being close to God is the way that I balance it all. It's how I maintain it all. And we have to make time for God. We can't say we don't have time, right? We have to make time for the important things in our lives. And that's definitely a top priority in my life.
And that's
it's
how
because
you
of God that I have everything that I have, that I'm in the space that I am. I didn't know that there was a space in the concert tour and booking play industry for me, but God always knew that there was, and he placed me there. You know, he allowed me to be in that space and create the company that I created. Like, all of that is through him. So I have to honor him in the way of spending time with him daily. So
right.
honor him. My kid sees it. It's a ripple effect. It's an example to him. And eventually he will want to live that same lifestyle. So it all goes hand in hand, in my opinion.
And I like that because it's not separate. It's truly not. It's
lifestyle,
not.
like I said earlier on.
And it's embedded in every aspect of our lives. Although we may be in corporate America and we not walking around corporate with the Bible and things like that, when people see us, they understand that it's something different about us. And that's his light shining on us in those dark spaces, which is why he have us there. We're his hands and his feet. So I appreciate you so much. I wanted to ask you one last question, and that is, what advice or any lasting remarks you have for anyone that's struggling with this whole corporate receipts documentation aspect of their career?
Advice, I would say just don't put too much into it. A lot of times I wasn't like, oh my God, this is a receipt, let me keep it. Sometimes you have to go back and say, this might be important for later. You're like, don't put too much weight on it. Don't prioritize it. But make it a thing in the back of your mind that you're wanting to maintain for your own mental peace, right? And you may not even need them later on. Like I had not needed them in the past like I need them now. But like I said, I just think that don't put too much weight on it. Always focus on the work, put your head down, be excellent, be great, let that lead. But also, like I said, just maintain those receipts on the side, not with so much weight, not with so much purpose. Let the work be the purpose. And I think that that's important. Let the work be the purpose.
Show up in your work. Show up in your work, because when they know that you're excellent at what you do, like you said, that brings that value of those receipts even more. So it's so much more than just having corporate receipts. You got to show up. You got to be on time. You got to perform. You got to be results driven. You got to be a servant. We don't get to negate those other responsibilities because we have receipts.
You have to lead with character. Absolutely. And solid character. So yeah, we can negate all of those responsibilities and simply have corporate receipts, because if you don't lead with those other things, your corporate receipts are meaningless.
The decision is already made once you get to the table. The decision is already made. So I'm so serious this time. My very last question. That's like the pastor. He said, I'm getting ready to go. And it had been 10 minutes.
Right.
10 minutes. So
30 more minutes.
How can people connect with you?
Oh, that's a great question. I am on social media. They can find me at PYT Candice. Or they can most importantly locate me on my LiveOutLive website and social media page. My LiveOutLive website is liveoutlive.com. And my social media handle for LiveOutLive is at liveoutlive_LA.
Y'all better live out live.
Y'all
better live out live. So
Live Out Live is to live out your dreams in the live entertainment industry. Live out live, it's a play on words, like live out loud, live out live. There's a space for everyone who wants to thrive in that sector of the music industry. We don't all have to be managers, agents, artists even, we can be the ones, the driving force behind the live show experience. And, you know, reach out, you know, let's connect.
Wow. And I mean, you just don't think about that as a career. Like you don't think of, you just, at least I did, like going to concerts, you're not looking at who booked this or who playing this. At least I wasn't as a career. So I think that bringing light to even those career options, it doesn't have to be sitting in a desk all the time. You could really just be behind the action and making sure things are getting done in a timely manner. Exactly. And I think that that's important.
It's exciting. It's thrilling. It's a lot of fires to be put out. So if you like to like be stressed out and put out fires and you thrive on like the thrill of that, it's the right place to be. So,
peace under pressure. You can have peace under pressure.
Yes. But the reward of it is to see something that people walk away from not even understanding what went into it. And that's so exciting to see people attend a concert or a show and they're just like excited about the artist and connecting and just being there and experience it and knowing that I brought that to them. It's very rewarding.
And I see it all in your face. I see it all in your face as you're talking. Like, that's a whole passion.
Thank you, God, for that passion. Thank you, God, for aligning me with the passion that I have.
Right, because that's where we can show up as our best self and then live that lifestyle, live that crown lifestyle that he's actually gifted us for. Like, you've been crowned for this. Like, that's your space where he crowned you for and he graced you for. It's a speaker. She came on another video and her organization is called This Is Grace. And she always finished her blogs out with "Grace Yourself, Sis." And I think that that's so beautiful because that's the epitome of what God is, grace. And us being graceful and living out that graceful. So I thank you for teaching us how to live out loud and dropping these jewels on corporate receipts.
Thanks for having me. This has been great. And I'm excited to see this come to life. I'm excited about this, this initiative that you have for September for mental wellness. So this is exciting.
Thank you.